Live streaming is on.
Hello, my name is Charles Carter, and I'm your host this evening. I hope I did everything correct. Um, Hi, Peter, just a minute. Anyways, I hope I did everything correct, and I'm your host for this evening. This is the Stunt Hangar video chat, and we do this every Monday and Friday. We try to, anyways. And we talk about aeromodeling or what you're doing in your shop, talk about flying, talk about all kinds of things to do with modeling. And today is a new month, so if you have the calendar that Gary made for us, today's the day that you would change your calendar. And I haven't done that yet. I was looking for August. I wonder who is on August. Let's see here. September, February. Oh, you know what? This is the. Oh, I got the wrong. I got last year's case. Let me see. Hang on. So, June, August. Oh, it's Jeffrey. Looky here. You have your new calendar. Jeff Riley. Jeff Riley is usually in the chat as well as in here with us. And I wonder if this is his junkyard dog.
Nope. Nope. He didn't start
Anyways,
it.
I'm going to put it in the calendar so I'm current. So that's that. Okay, so we want to keep this conversation family room friendly, or else you'll have to contribute to our curse jar. But we try to keep it clean, you guys, right? I can't hear myself. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. It's weird though. Usually I hear myself. I don't know what's going on, but I can't hear myself. Maybe that's good. Let me see. Is there anything? Oh, we have a super chat, which is an opportunity for you to donate to help keep this programming totally free. There is a membership where you can join, and there's different levels to join. I'm a member of that. I joined over a month ago, I believe. I think I was in the first wave of members, and you get special perks and special videos. And there's, I think, once a month there's a question and answer period where you can talk to Sparky, excuse me. And that's because I'm trying to get Rusty and Sparky, and it comes out Sparkly for some reason. I did that last time too. Anyways, so if you feel inclined, please contribute. This is not cheap. What Sparky does, he and what what I'm so taken from is that when Sparky's at like the Nationals and he's filming every day, all that kind of stuff, he could be practicing. He still managed to get 20th. He made the cut, which is great. But it's a sacrifice for him to be videotaping, and not only that, he does try to put his best product forward, which usually is not cheap stuff to do all that. So, if you feel inclined, do that, please. That'd be much appreciated. Anyways, let's get started. Let's talk about aeromodeling. Let's talk about what you did in your shop. If you happen to have gone flying recently, share your experience. We also love um, show and tells. So if there's anything that you're excited about or think that someone does not know, I mean, there's some things that I just take for granted. Last Friday was it? Yeah, last Friday, Peter was talking about putting the prop on, and he had something where he explained that you want to put the prop on like that and tighten it there, so when the plane runs out of fuel, when it runs, you're not going to hit your prop when you land. And it's like that's something I don't even think about anymore because this is like second nature. So go ahead and share. And I don't know if you guys have been talking, but I cannot hear you guys. I don't know what's going on.
We're listening.
Let me see if I can fix it because I only can hear me talking outside of my system. I can't hear me and I can't hear you guys. Let me see here. Bear
Charles,
with me.
Can you hear me, Charles? Charles, can you hear me? Guess not.
I can hear you, Tom.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you.
I can't remember Ed's last name, but he came into the show and he was the mystery guest we had last week, you guys. And he made a message to me that he was going to try to get back on tonight. And his wife, who knows more about computers than him, she was going to assist him. So I hope that he. Hang on a second. I got the mic, audio. Let me try. Let's try this. See if that works.
Test. Can you hear me, Charles?
There we go. Oh, I hear you.
Okay. Hi, Charles.
Hi, you guys. I can't hear. Well, I think I hear me now. But great, fantastic. I'm still trying to figure this out. It's there's a lot to get this program going. Earlier, I inadvertently went live like an hour ago, and Rusty and I was trying to figure out how that happened because I never saw go live, and I didn't even have an opportunity. I didn't see a button to stop. So I apologize to those who were in the chat. Oh, speaking of the chat, let me go grab that chat, and let me pop that out. And you guys hear that echo?
Yeah, we got an echo.
You hear it? I don't know where the echo's coming from.
I'm pretty clear here.
Hey, Tryon.
I don't have an echo here.
I don't
Okay.
now.
Well, we'll see if it continues. So I got the chat box on YouTube up so I can see what's going on. And if you guys over there on YouTube have any, I see Ed is over there from last week. Ed, see if you can come into. Rusty's calling me. Oh, great, dropped the phone. I'm all excited. I'm just so excited. Hey, Rusty.
Hey, Charles. You okay, man?
Let me ask them. Am I okay, you guys?
No.
I'm not overwhelming consensus that I'm okay, but I am broadcasting live, and we're on Jitsi, and it's all good, I believe. So you can
get YouTube working?
Is there anybody who can check?
Are you on YouTube?
I believe so. You guys on the chat box? Is YouTube streaming?
Yes.
All right. They said yes. So.
Oh, okay. Okay, never mind.
All right.
I was looking at a lot of videos, and I'm supposed to be sharing. I didn't see it. Never mind. I'm interrupting you. So
That's okay.
Yep,
All right.
because we're live now.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
All right, man. Thanks, man.
Good luck, man.
Thank you, and see you.
Good.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye. All righty. So where were we?
So
It's right up
today
here.
I posted a new video or build video and flying video of the full-size Sea Ray airplane on my YouTube channel.
Full size? And you was flying? You was inside it, flying it?
Yeah.
Wow.
So if you guys want to check that out later, it's the link's in the chat box for the Hangout, the Hangout chat box.
Okay.
Cool. I see. Ed here. You're. I messaged you. Did you get my message? I hope you did. Oh, I think he's making progress. We have another. Hi, Ed. And there's another Ed. There's an Ed. Carlisle, I think. Carlisle. Oh, you're twice. Oh, I got Eddie twice. Hey Eddie, you got another twin.
You got a problem with locking up on him.
Okay. All right. Well, I know that we have another Ed trying to learn how to. Oh, here's the video. Thanks.
This isn't the video. This is just a still shot of the airplane, the full-size airplane.
I like your workshop, Tom.
Yeah.
It looks like a living room.
Yeah. It's faster to build if you can build in your house instead of having to go someplace to build.
That is neat. Yeah, that looks like a model. That's a full-size plane.
Yes.
So I got a Rotax on there for power.
Yep. 912.
How much horsepower does that put out?
This one's 80 horsepower.
Wow.
We have 80, 100, and 115 for the turbocharge. This one's the 80 horse.
How's it handled?
Really nice.
Is it hands off a level flight?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, you can trim it out and it'll just maintain altitude.
well, you live in the right area to have a seatplane. Right?
Yeah, it's amphibious actually. That has retractable wheels.
Yeah, but Minnesota's got, almost 50% of the lakes we had in Alaska. So you got pretty good for down here in the States.
They say 10,000 lakes, but they're probably actually more than that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So, what's it made out of, for the most part?
The frame is aluminum and fiberglass. The hull and the turtle decks are fiberglass, and then the wing is fabric-covered aluminum frame, wing and tail.
Mm-hmm.
Got no dihedral, does it?
No.
Just a straight wing.
Ailerons and flaps, and yeah, flies pretty nice.
You have a lot of mass below in the wings, so I don't think you need a lot of dihedral over there with that.
Yeah, you've got a good point, Trey.
Very nice, Tom.
Looks like that downward swoopy tips on it.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like stall tips.
Actually, it's yes, for extra lift over there, I think.
Mm-hmm. I had a friend that had 172 on floats.
You're talking about the leading edge, the drop down.
I'm talking about on the very tips.
Yeah, that's to keep it from tip stalling.
Right. I had a friend that had a 172 on floats, and he had a Robertson Stoll kit on it, and it had those kind of tips on it, Horner tips, I think they're called. And that was exactly at low speed to keep the tips from stalling, because the plane was a short takeoff and landing with the stole, S-T-O-L-E, stole, short takeoff and landing.
It looks like it comes together relatively well.
Hey Eddie, what are you doing? You're multiplying like a rabbit. Now
Yeah, I know. I don't know what's wrong with the thing. I got off my computer. I got off a computer because it was messing up, and I'm back on my phone. Now there's 3 of me. Heaven help us if that's the case.
Well, pretty soon you'll be able to talk to yourself, Eddie.
Yeah.
I do that anyway.
I'm sorry,
Somebody-
Tom. I'm sorry about
Somebody's got to listen to me.
Well, it doesn't look like those other 2 guys you got up there are going to listen to anybody there.
No.
Well,
So after
go ahead.
after Friday, I ordered some 10.5 props for my Max 35.
Ah,
So I'm gonna wait to run it until when I get a smaller prop. But I flew my Viper on Saturday. I posted a video of that. Did you see that, Tom?
I did, yes.
So it was on this parking lot, and it was just happened to be tilted a little bit away from the pickup, and that motor wouldn't keep running. It'd run for about 10 seconds, and I couldn't figure it out. It run so good, and then I thought, well, there's just a tiny slant away from the pickup on a wedge tank, and I moved it a little bit, and then it was fine. But that's where pressure is nice on those little motors,
Well, you have to have that pickup line in the right spot on the wedge, on the top of the wedge, so the fuel gets to it. Top and the
Yeah,
back
well, I
of the
don't know. It
wedge.
was a product tank, and
Yeah,
but
well,
it was just where I was starting it. It just must have been. It was tilted just ever so slightly the other way, and that's all it took.
mm.
yep. You have a full tank in there?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
That's strange.
So I went to 38-foot lines, and I could probably go to 40 or 42. It was still moving around pretty good, but yeah, and I took a little bit of weight off because it was too sensitive, and now it's about right. But I did 3 loops just really easy with it in a row. Doesn't slow down a bit, and
Yeah. Well, Bill, be mindful that the half-A planes like to fly much faster than the full-size planes.
right.
Lap time. I mean, they fly around 4.5, 4.8 second lap time. It's pretty close, right? I think it is, right?
Probably. I haven't checked it out. I could.
On the video, it looked like there were some 3-second laps when it was leading out.
Yeah. Bill, just find out where the engine is happy, because it's probably going to run on a certain RPM, very happy. And if it's too fast, change the prop with a smaller pitch, but run the engine the same way. The engine are happy in a very narrow range. They like it in a certain spot, right? There's a sweet spot. And to speed up and slow down the plane, you have to use a different prop with the same diameter and less pitch or more pitch, depending which way direction you want to go. So, but yeah,
Plus the line length too is an adjustment as well.
yes,
The line length is a rougher or coarser adjustment, and then you can fine tune it with the pitch of the
Mhm.
prop.
yeah. And another thing, I think those little motors, the half-A motors, sometimes you may start with a 6-inch diameter prop on them, but a lot of them run very well on a 5.
Yeah.
They like to rev up. You need to allow them to rev up to work, to start to work well. And sometimes if you use a big prop, it just don't run well. If you can cut the prop down a little bit, or try a smaller prop, try some 5-inch pitch power. I mean 5-inch diameter. 5.4, 5.5s, I think are good for that. Try them
I
out.
had ordered quite a few props for that.
Okay.
5 and 6 diameter.
Mm. I think we will find out the 5. They're very happy with the 5s.
Yeah. The other indication I use, Bill, is when it runs out of fuel or when it's running out of fuel, the last couple laps, how much the motor speeds up.
Yeah.
You know, I use that as a gauge kind of where I'm at. Because if there's a lot of power, that's when it's running out of gas, it's running lean. There's a lot of power there, then I kind of weigh it out. I kind of get it where, pardon me, I got to, anyways, I don't know how to turn this other.
So yesterday I got a chance to go dynamic soaring. There's a
Please leave a message after the tone.
earthen dam about an hour and a half away.
Mhm.
Probably about 150 feet high, and the wind was just right, and some other guys came there. So
Mhm.
the way I used to do the DS was kind of like flank and tail line. I'd stand on the top of the ridge and fly around myself in circles, but now I got so I can be off on one side and do the circles.
Mhm.
A little bit easier that way, isn't it?
Well, it was easier actually spinning around, I thought, but
Mhm. Yeah, you probably
Well,
need a
you
little
don't
bit of
get
ballast on
dizzy.
that plane. You probably need a little bit of ballast on that plane, Bill, to make it penetrate and whip up a little bit better. But no, I like the video. I wish I had a slow flying place like that somewhere around here.
yeah, that was just that was a foam plane. In fact, fiberglass would go a lot faster.
Oh yeah. You know the speed record on de-icing?
Yeah, 540 or something like that.
So over 500 miles per hour, yes.
When's the first one going to break the sound barrier?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a guy that's actually working on that.
Really?
Yeah.
I wonder how big a bang it'll make, or it'll just be like a rifle crack.
I don't know, but if you look at the one that's flying at 500 miles per hour, the plane is doing like,
Yeah.
and you can, yeah, you can barely see it. I mean, you see flashes of it
Yeah.
just zooming past the, past the camera. I mean, it's so fast you can keep a focus on it at all. But it's just wild. I mean, you hear the guy calling. You hear the plane more than anything, and you hear the guy calling with the radar gun the speeds on that, and just like you go like, what? I mean, faster than an airliner coming in for landing. I mean, just good grief. I mean, actually, it's faster than almost all of the prop-driven planes.
Well, it's faster than a lot of passenger jets that cruise.
Yeah.
They don't cruise, but about 350.
350 to 450, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Holy smoke. So
I
that
asked
is
the pilot. I asked the pilot one time how fast they got to go to take off, and he said they don't take off but about 120 to 150, depends on the wind speed.
Mhm.
But once they get up into the thinner air, they put the hammer down and let her rip.
Yeah, because it's thinner air, you can penetrate.
Yeah. Well, you look at a NASCAR. NASCAR's, before they put the flaps on them, they were coming off the ground.
Mhm.
So I mean, yeah, for you got the lift, you're going to come off the ground.
Yep.
That's true.
It's kind of funny thing is like, yeah, in both in RC world as well as in real life world, gliders have the speed records,
Mm-hmm.
not power planes. It's the fastest glider, space shuttle.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, you can't beat that.
it's gliding at like Mach 3 or something like that.
No. It enters the atmosphere at Mach 22.
Well, yeah, once it gets down, it's passing it's gliding and passing the guide planes.
Yeah. It's like actually when I was on Edwards Air Force Base in a special recovery, we would hear the space shuttle coming in. It would be over the coast of Australia somewhere, about 15 minutes later, it's passing Hawaii. Another 10-15 minutes later, it's over Los Angeles. 1 or 2 minutes later, it's already over Edwards Air Force. And it's that thing is way up there. I mean, it's at 30,000 feet or something like that. And from 30,000 feet down to the landing in under 5 minutes.
Wow.
He has the glide slope of a freaking brick.
A rock would almost do better. Yeah.
Yeah, I could do better than that. Yeah, no kidding. But
Much like that movie, Space Cowboys. They call it a flying brick.
Yeah, that a typical airliner comes in for a landing on a glide slope about 3 degrees or so. The space shuttle comes on a glide slope, I think it's 20 degrees. Or so it's just, I mean,
it's falling with style is what it's doing.
Exactly. Yeah, it does like a circle, like a tornado kind of bowl. So if you look, if the runway is here, it comes like this. It comes around and then it lands in, right? But here somewhere, it's at like 30,000 feet. And by the time it does the turn, comes back and lines up for a landing, it's at 10,000 feet or something like that. And from there on to the landing is like it's no time.
Yeah.
Y'all talking about space shuttle. My aunt, which was my mom's sister, worked for Rocketdyne out in California.
Mm-hmm.
That they made the booster rockets for the space shuttle.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a kid, she brought me and my brother little models and posters and all kinds of stuff. It wasn't even out on the market yet. Still had the 747 with the piggyback on it.
Oh, nice.
It's pretty cool stuff. I've still got some of it sitting on the shelf in my dad's place. But yeah, it was pretty cool, man. We're like, what the crap is this? She said, that's the next spaceship. I'm like, cool. But
Wow.
yeah, she worked at the Rocketdyne at the space engineering, and her husband was a pharmacist.
Mm-hmm.
So they had money.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys,
That space shuttle was pretty cool.
on the chat, Jack Snavely, he says that he's been using a 5.5 by 2.5 pitch props on his Norvell 61
Mm-hmm.
and 37-inch Stork or Stark on 42-foot lines. It's still a little fast. And then Jack Riley said, "Hi Jack, I still have the little Strega on the drawing board, planned it as for a Norvell 61 30-inch wingspan, 1 1/8 inch airfoil. Question mark. Anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Hey guys, I got
Sounds all
something
right.
to share with you in a
Oh,
moment.
great. Yeah, it'd be awesome.
I had a fellow contact me about an airplane I designed back in 2002, 2003, somewhere in there. And it has quite a history behind it. But what I do when I put a set of plans out there for somebody to kid or something like that, there's a caveat. If they cease production or they never go into production after a period of time, it all reverts back to me. All rights. Anyway, many of you or some of you may know that on the internet, I'm known as Joe Belcrank, JOBELCRANK. I spell it different, but it's the same. Mm-hmm. So anyway, this particular airplane is called the JB Special. That's the Joe Belcrank Special. Okay.
Oh, wow, cool.
And anyway, this fellow contacted me. He had somewhere he'd wound up with a picture of the airplane, and he took quite a bit of time to finally track down whose airplane it was, and he sent me an email, and I verified, yeah, it was mine, and we wound up into some discussion, and he wound up getting a set of plans for it. And what I did is I hadn't in the past I hadn't done PDFs of it, so because I didn't have the equipment to do, I didn't have the programming to do PDFs at that time. So I did some PDFs, and that's what he wanted to send to. But here's a view of the fuselage. It should pop up here pretty soon. Anybody getting it?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Oh yeah.
What we have, John, is just a monitor icon on your screen.
Oh, don't tell me it's not going to show today. That's too bad.
Mine says video for John Miller has been tuned off to save bandwidth. That's what I get.
What?
It says video for John Miller has been turned off to save bandwidth.
Hold on a minute here.
That's what I make.
It is turned off. Let's try this. Okay, it's turned back on. Now I'll try sharing again. Try it now.
Here we go.
There it is.
There
Oh,
it is.
you got it?
Bingo.
Oh, nice.
Uh-huh.
Nice looking.
Thank
That's
you.
a half A.
Actually, I think it's got either a Rojet or a what's the other one? Nelson 61 or something like that in there. I think it was before the 65 came out.
It's going to roll kind of funny with that wheel turned sideways, ain't it?
Well, that's a brake. You slow that down to slow it down. You see how far forward it is. That's to keep it from tipping over. You know. Also, it can make very tight turns, either left or right.
Yeah.
But
Very nice. I like it.
Yeah.
Thank you. I always wanted to build a plane that had, the stringered effect like the old timers had back in here.
Yeah.
And the stringers actually go clear on up to the front, up to this area. But this is covered with 16th-inch balsa that's formed around it.
Yeah.
What's the weight on it?
I don't know yet. I don't know yet.
Because it depends on the wood you use, huh?
Yeah, the inner fuselage. This is the inner fuselage here. Okay, and that's 1/16 because it has these pieces, and you'll see it's all notched here, and that's taken. It has these pieces in there, and then the stringers hold it. So it was my idea that I didn't need anything heavier than 1/16 because they were just to hold the stringers in place. Well, and the stringers actually make the shape. It's based on it's inspired by a French design for a stunt ship called the Scepter, and but the Scepter didn't have a radial type engine on it and things like that. So but it had this open canopy. It looked so neat to me. I even put a wire step here, for the pilot to step on to get in.
Oh, I love that detail.
And this tail wheel here is set up. That's the inside. It just snaps in there. You want to take it out, you push it right there, pull it back, and it drops right out.
Nice.
That's what I use on all my planes. That exact same thing.
Do you?
However, what I would do, I would close it in a little bit and bend the wire to get that angle. The more open it is, the easier it is for it to pop out.
You may be right on that. I've built about 5 or 6 of them with this setup.
Mhm.
And the guy that showed it to me was Norm Whittle, and this is identical to his setup.
Okay.
But you may be right. It wouldn't hurt to make it just a little narrower.
Mhm.
It wouldn't hurt at all.
Mhm.
All in all, this is the fuselage for it.
Mhm.
It's the wing. I ought to show you the wing here. The cowling is like, here's what would be the oil cooler here. Actually has the head of the engine in it. And so this is the cowl. and it slips up in there and locks in. I believe it's inside the inner fuselage. So let me get the wing up here. Any questions on this?
Yeah, I do. The cowl, it looks like, is there space between the, after the spinner, you have like slots or slats? And it looks like on the drawing, it looks like there's space between. Am I seeing it correctly or what? I don't know.
Those are either, I forget whether they're 3/8 or 1/2 inch rings that are used to form that cowl, or that section right there.
Right.
This down here, which is this here, which is this as you first start it, that is the actual cowl.
Okay.
And so, you can set the tank. You have to take the engine out to set the tank in or out, and that's fine with me because I wouldn't want the tank go falling out if I was to take the cowl out. It's set up for a metal tank. It wouldn't be hard for me to set it up, and when I've got one all laser cut, ready to go when I get the shop going. Wouldn't be. I would probably set it up for this tank here, the RC tank.
Right.
Any other questions there?
They would be very easily to convert for electric as well. I mean, just like those round discs, you can just put a round disc and drill the holes, put the electric motor on the other side.
You're absolutely right. In fact, the guy that got these set of plans is planning on setting his up for electric, and he's promised to share with me what he does. So we'll have that. I'll have that soon. And so, I think it'd be very effective as an electric design. I come to the conclusion on my biplane that it flew fine on a 61, but it lost so much speed in the squares because of the drag turning the corners. First, second, third corner was actually pretty nice, but it was going so slow by the time you went down and hit the last corner, it would try to turn itself inside out. It'd stall out and hinge and everything else. And I'm thinking that plane I could probably cure a lot of that if I went electric on that particular one, because I get a governor set up on it and set it up with the proper setup on the governor. It would maintain power all the time. Even I just think it'd work better.
I think if you would just thin out the airfoil a little bit, you'd be just as well.
But I'm not talking about this one. I'm talking about the biplane. It has thin air.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me get the one for the wing up. Bear with me, guys. Better put that up.
It's a black screen.
That's all right. It's not up yet. Oh, I got to find it. Okay, now I can share it. Let's see.
While you're doing that, there's a question on the chat. Let's see here. Oh, here you go. Never mind. I'll get to it in a minute, but there is a question on the chat line when you get done, John.
Go right ahead.
Okay. So there's let me see here. Okay, Edward Carlisle thoughts on the flight characteristics of irregular span wing panels on Magician, or other than making it eligible for OTS. I will be sport flying only. That's what he typed in there.
Most wing panels are the outboard wing panel is about 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch shorter, depending on the size of the wing of the plane. The bigger, the more you have. And they usually, the flaps is identical inboard to outboard, except at the tip. At the tip of the flaps, you have about an eighth of an inch larger. So that's kind of the, if you do that, you should be fine. Or very close, anyways.
It should be coming up now.
Yep, it's on.
Thanks,
Okay.
Tryon.
Need workers' comp insurance?
You'll notice the first thing you'll notice on this set of plans is the lead outs are going out the wrong wingtip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The reason is they read this little note down here.
You building upside down again?
Yep, because of the type of the jigging system. It has that same jigging system that we used on the LE.
Okay.
And here's the ribs. They're all set. There's your ribs for the landing gear, all of that. So it because of the landing gear jigs having gone, we built it upside down. So, but you can lay this right here where this is, set in your ribs. You got these spacers, one's for the inboard and one's for the outboard side. Set the spacing for the ribs. Everything's nice and straight that way. And you can lay in your spars, top and bottom. You can build most of it without having to take it out of the jig if you're creative. And of course, you got to remember to put the lead outs on this side and the tip weight box on this side. Okay.
John, you know what I would do?
What's that?
I'd make those feet a little bit wider than that. They look like maybe tipping, but I might be wrong, right? Yeah, those. Make them a little bit wider. And another thing I would do, have another PDF file with just the footprints where those fittings they're gonna land.
That's a very good idea. That is an extremely good idea because you can set that down. You don't mess up your plan here.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, as far as feet, we built two of the LEs with the same spacing, and it did not have a problem.
Okay.
Because this thing here is interlinks in right here. See that little slot there?
Yeah.
Interlinks right there. So you've only got this distance from this spar here to here, and we ended it just shy so you can get the lower spar in there without a problem. When in building it, you'll get the spars in and get everything lined up. Then you've got this sheeting in here, or this spar here, trailing edge spar. And then what you'll do is you put this balsa wood right here on top, all the way along, and that you'll do that before you cut it loose and turn it over. And with that, and the way it's set up, it's very stiff at that point. So you can turn it over and lay. What you do is before you break it off, you just lay a piece in and you butt it up to this part here. The other is over the top. The top one is butted up to it. And then what I do, you can form your shells for your leading edge if you desire to go that route. But what I do is I go back to that dollar piece of formed balsa you can buy at the hobby shops. Nobody uses it anymore, but they still have them there, and they're basically a little airfoil leading edge like you'd have on a ringmaster. And you cover that up with saran wrap, and then it takes 1.5 inches of balsa, so you cut a strip 1.5 inches, C grain or A grain, wet it down, lay it on there, and wrap it with the wrap it so it takes 4 let it sit overnight. Now you can just slip that right on the front of the wing right here. You see, it's got a notch here, so it doesn't take a lot of shaping to get it. So that little piece that's right on there, and then it's real easy to form. Well, let's get to this one here. It's real easy you don't have to form this. You just wet one side and glue it on.
You just patched up, to go from there to there. Yeah.
but you wind up with a full balsa formed balsa leading edge, basically.
Yeah,
And
those are very nice.
yeah, and they are nice. They don't require a lot of sanding or gauging to try to make sure they're equal. They do the job very well.
Yeah.
So
You know
anyway,
what?
that's the wing, and then it has actually two pattern sheets because there's just too much stuff to get on one pattern sheet.
Yeah.
I won't bother showing you pattern sheets, but they're there.
Yeah.
Anyway, thought you guys might enjoy it. Any comments or questions would be entertained?
Another comment, super easy way to do leading edges because the balsa is very flexible and it can open up and close back down and stuff like that. It's easy to mess with this, right?
Yeah.
Perhaps like a 1/2 inch dowel pin from Home Depot and put a piece of balsa behind it with as ace band-aids. You can use that as a mold as well.
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
easy.
You can get creative on the molds.
Yeah,
You're right. You're right. It is flexible enough because that piece of balsa, that old balsa leading edge that I use, isn't near as open as that is, but it fits on there just fine. It spreads open, and you got full contact from here to that edge, and it works perfect. So yeah, you could come up with creative ideas. I guess if you got real creative, you could come up with and form this trailing edge piece, the top and bottom, and form it right around there, and put in some material here where your hinges are going to go.
Like have a rounded trailing edge.
You can put it round or kind of squared with kind of rounded edges, but squared. And that would be easy to do because then you could just slip it on over the. In fact, you could actually glue this piece down in there, slip it on after you got it all formed and set up in the jig, and you'd get top and bottom both that way.
Yep. Yeah. You know what else, John? I mean, it's like I think you are just one step away from. You could probably even build a geodesic wing very easily.
Oh yeah, this was actually before I started drawing geodesic wings or worn truss wings. I didn't have the option in my CompuFoil, but I do now, and so I do. Like the Vanguard's elliptical wing is a geodesic or worn truss wing, and I could very easily, lay this up. And I may yet lay it up and make a geodesic or worn truss wing out of it. With the amount of material that's taken out, there's not a lot of weight in there, but there is strength. I tried
to me like it'd be something you'd want laser cut ribs for.
Well, you could do that, but it's using a pattern sheet. It's really quite easy, but to make them by hand. But in the pattern sheet, here's this little unknown thing for you. If you got the pattern sheet and you want to have something laser cut, I believe they can use a PDF file in their laser cutters. So you could take the sheets that are set up for the ribs. Maybe I ought to show you this. The sheets that are set up for the ribs, and you can have those laser cut. Just send them into the cutter. Let me get that.
And you know what I did, Bill, when I was doing laser cutting stuff? I had color coded. So if I had to have an engraving job done, I would do that. If I had to make holes, things that need to be cut first, they were a different color. And then the outside contour will be the last color, basically. So when the laser cutter, some laser cutters even are very particular about that. They want that in their drawings. So they know it's easy for them to select what they want to be cut first and second and so on and so forth.
Yeah, each laser cutter has their own way they like to do things. So yeah, that is a fact.
I got a question.
I must be a laser cutter.
Say what?
So I must be a laser cutter because I like doing things my way.
No, you're just Steve.
I got a question.
What is it, Gary?
On your bell crank, why do you turn it upside down like that?
That's to put the what is it, the
Upline first.
the upline in front, and that what that does is because when you give up, the plane tends to want to yaw inboard, so you with it in the rear position, you get more yaw to the inside. You put it the lead out coming out the front position. The theory is you get less yaw because you've moved that attachment point further forward, so it doesn't have quite the lever that it had to the rear. And it does the same thing. It helps you with the downline because the downline wants to go. Well, actually, it doesn't help you on a downline. The downline wants to yaw out. No, in. That's it. It wants to yaw in. So yeah, it does. By having it be in the back position, wants to keep it yawing out. That's what it is. So anyway, that's what it's all about.
Okay.
And it does feel better, Gary, as well. When I fly a plane that has the upline in the rear, I don't feel like I'm leading the plane. I feel like I have more authority. I mean, just it's personal opinion. I feel like I have more authority when the upline is in the front position. I can't explain it, but that's just a personal thing I feel.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that I don't like about the upline being in the front, if you fly a lot on grass fields, if you catch a weed, you take off right now, but you land right afterwards.
Right on the nose. Okay, is that showing up?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, each of these call outs, it calls out what the size is and how many sheets have to be cut like this. So if you're cutting them by hand, I cut these out and I very lightly use some 3M77 sprayed about 2 or 3 feet above the balsa wood, so it just falls on it lightly, and it sticks it on. And then I can cut these with my bandsaw, and then use my sander, my rotary sander, and bring them to the line. But you get here. This tells you it takes two of each of these to get all the wing ribs. Okay, so if you were to want to get just the wing ribs cut, you could send this in these two pieces. If I'm correct, I believe I talked with Walter Umlin, and I believe he told me he could use the PDF files on his machine. So I don't know about others, but I believe he's told me he could. And there's like these here, I'd be highly tempted to have them laser cut just because of all these little notches and things.
Oh yeah.
But for the rest of these, maybe the fuselage, because all these are indexing for these here. These are the indexes, and they're set there so that you can get the outer portion of the fuselage in the proper places. There's another sheet, I won't bring it up, it's just a smaller sheet, but it's just stuff I couldn't get on this sheet. And it has the inner bulkheads that also lock into there. These are made so that the inner bulkheads use up half the slot, and these here use the other half of the slot. Okay?
Those circles down at the bottom, that's your cowling?
That's the cowling pieces that get laminated
for the nose?
Yeah, up at the nose. And here's your flaps, and you'll notice the outboard flap is a little shorter and it's a little wider. Actually, it starts here, they're the same. But when it gets here, it's about an 1/8 inch wider out here. And these are the parts for the stab and elevator. All of the plywood parts, like the plywood doublers for the wing ribs for the gear mounts, are on the other pattern sheet that I'm not showing yet, or I'm not showing at all.
and your parts for your wing, not spats, wing. They're not spats, they're wing. They're not cap. What do you call them? My mind's a blank.
I don't know. Give us a hint.
Well, they're on the they're on a
Wheel pants?
wheel, not spats, wheel
Pants.
Pants?
Huh? What'd you say?
Wheel pants?
Not wheel pants. Yeah, wheel pants. I guess that would be
Wheel
it.
pants.
Yeah, the parts for the wheel pants are on the other drawing and stuff like that. Everything's in the drawing as far as I know. There may or may not be some minor errors somewhere along in here. This is a very complicated set of parts to come up with. Took a lot of hours on this one. But anyway, that's how I would like. I wanted to make these ribs, and it takes 2 sheets of this one. I would take 2 sheets, identical length, and I would lightly, again, spray in that 3M77 very lightly, and then I'd stick them together, and then I'd stick I'd cut out this part, stick it on top of the stack, and then when I cut them out, I'm cutting out 2 at a time. And these, the center portions, I just drill a hole and I take it over my jigsaw and I put it in there and I cut the centers as close as I get them. And I've got a little kind of a dowel type rounded, it's a big, somewhat rounded sander that I can just get in there and just kind of work it over a little bit to get it cleaned up a little bit. So, you know, I would imagine if I had all the wood laid there, and I could probably from the beginning to the end of cutting all the parts for this airplane by hand, I could probably do it in 3 to 4 hours, have them all ready to go.
How would one go about getting a set of those plans?
Funny you should ask. I've changed my method of doing business on my plans, and I think it's better for everybody. Some people can afford it, and some people can't. And I will give you a full set of the PDFs. All I ask is a donation, whatever you think it was worth to you. If you think it was worth a penny, fine. You know, if you think it's worth more, fine. But I'm not going to bill you, and I'm not going to, you know, set a price on it because it just, you know, for me, it's a labor of love. Design these things and plans that I have taken and resurrected of other people's claims, classic, legal, and whatever. You know, it's a labor of love to get them up to where they can be laser cut should they want to.
Well, John,
So
I want a set of your plans glued onto the wood and all cut out.
Well, now that doesn't come free.
Yeah, but I'll send you what I think it's worth.
Well, that gets you the plans. I don't know. You understand why I'm doing that, don't you? It's just that, hey, this is fun. We all enjoy it. There's not that many of us around. This is my shtick in the hobby. I enjoy drawing the plans more, and I enjoy almost more, and I enjoy building and flying them. But I do enjoy building and flying them. So this is just one way I can help out the hobby, in my feeling.
That's one thing. One of the greatest satisfactions I had when I was a kid was I built that first airplane and went out there and flew it, and it was something I built. You know, It was. I mean, but kids today they don't care. They'd rather. I mean, of course, when we were kids, we didn't have the internet. We didn't have all the video games. You know, we played outside, and that was one of the outside things I did. You know, I sat out there in the field beside my house with a sheet of paneling that I drug out of Daddy's basement, took it out there in that field and made me a stooge and flew that little Carl, the Goldberg, I think it's a Goldberg,
Wizard?
yeah, what was that thing?
Stuntman?
Stuntman or something like that.
Stuntman
I've got
23.
more glue on that thing right now than wood, but I flew the crap out of that thing.
Well, yeah, yeah.
The
Well,
reason
the thing is-
Off a sheet of plywood.
The reason why we did that as kids and it was fun is because when you stayed inside, your mom found you things to do.
Yeah, you was playing.
Well,
Yeah.
the thing is, as I remember, it was right after World War II that I became aware of airplanes. So much so that I'd hear one flying over the valley there. I'd run out to see what it was. I actually ran out once and I got to see a B-36 taking off from Salt Lake Airport, flying south over the valley, real low, so it could see it very well. But there was a Stearman that flew around a lot. I didn't know it was a Stearman at the time, but anyway. Let me get back to it. So to get the plans, just PM me and I'll send you my email, and you just send me your email and I'll get the PDF out and send it to you. Okay.
Okay. Cool.
All of us who grew up in the post-war generation were fascinated with aircraft, and that contributed a lot to the popularity of model airplanes, aeromodeling, and we don't have that. They're just ordinary, everyday things that are we see them all the time and don't think twice about them, and so that's part of what I don't want to say is to blame, but that's part of the reason that people aren't so fascinated with aircraft as much possibly as they used to be.
I'm 52 years old, and I live right in the flight path of Fort Campbell. And when those helicopters come flying over, I still run outside and watch them. They come right over the trees. I mean, I've waved at them sometimes.
Yeah.
There are still kids, though. There are still kids.
Apparently on one of the flight paths for Fort Jackson, because I see everything from Chinooks to Apaches to Black Hawks and everything they've got going back and forth to McIntyre Air National Guard Base, which is only 20 miles from my house too. And so, they do exercises at Fort Jackson.
They come over those big Chinooks, just rattle the windows in the house. You go outside and they're probably, I don't know, 300-400 feet off the ground. I mean, just the power lines are shaking. They're so close to the ground. It's awesome.
I have a question. How many of you, when you were young, lived nearby some kind of airport or on a final approach next to an airport to the point like you can see planes over and over again?
I do.
I know I'm one of them.
I did.
Wow. I would not be surprised if a lot of us are.
My mom grew up at the end of the runway for the Grand Rapids Airport, which is now known as Gerald R. Ford. But they moved it because of all the houses and there was crashes when she was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't too far from her house.
Yeah.
So they end up moving the airport. But the Lear factory for Learjet is still on that road that, is there. Lear's not there anymore. They moved out to Wichita or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I drove on the old airport runway. Part of it's still there.
But did you see them growing up and see a lot of planes and stuff like that?
When I was real little, I did. And then actually where I grew up was at the end of the runway, but
there you have it.
7-8 miles away. So they flew over you could hear them all the time, but they were still.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
But kids today, have got so many other things to get them, but there are still kids out there that aviation kind of hits a little button in their heart. I know when we were flying in the city, that we'd get out there flying within 10 or 15 minutes, there'd be kids riding up on their bikes because they heard the engines going. And that, that's where we got most of our recruits out of that. That you don't see too much anymore, but once in a while you get someone like Sam or somebody like that shows up and picks up on it. So we're growing, but not at the speed we used to.
No way. Yeah.
Well, the thing about it is now too, when I was, like I say, when I was a kid, you was talking about hearing the airplanes. We'd be outside and there was a guy that used to fly up at the school, and we'd hear his airplane, and we'd go up there, we'd grab our stuff and go up there and fly with him. But now everybody's so anal that every little bit disturbs them, or they don't want the noise, everything. So you got to fly out in a remote area where nobody sees it or hears it, and you can't get the interest of anybody. But we flew, me and Mike and the guys flew probably, I don't know, 150 feet off the highway, and we've actually had people stop and watch. Whether they didn't stick around long, but at least they stopped and said, "Hey, that's pretty interesting." But every once in a while, you might get somebody that wants to do it and start asking questions.
You make a good point in that we used to be able to fly in the schoolyards and things like that. And at that point in time when we really had our greatest growth, because there were schoolyards, like the little town I lived in, there's like 6 or 7 schoolyards we could go fly in. And we'd pick up kids that come in, either dads would bring them in their cars, they'd come up on their bikes. And, 3 or 4 times we had them hooked. They were, we'd let them put it on a plane and fly. The point is, though, is when they outlawed flying on the schoolyards and various places where we could fly in the city, and we had to go out. Yeah, we had to go out of the city limits to fly. People no longer seen or heard us.
Right.
And so they no longer did you pick up that interest that you were getting before.
It's not seen.
Yeah, so I figured that's a big part of it too.
I still fly out at my church every once in a while. I don't care what they haven't said nothing to me yet. So
the thing is they don't discriminate between whether you're running an IC or an electric. Electrics are so darn quiet. There's no reason they shouldn't be able to fly to a schoolyard, but it says on the signs, no flying model airplanes.
If when I was 11 or 12 years old, though, I'd get on a bus and take the bus down to in town and go to the hobby shop and stuff by myself. But I'm telling you what, if I had a kid now that was 12 years old, there ain't no way I'd let them walk to a bus stop, get on a bus and go 15 miles into downtown Grand Rapids and walk around downtown Grand Rapids.
It's a different world now, isn't it?
It is, and I mean,
when I was 12 years old, I'd go to the store and buy my mom and dad cigarettes.
Yeah, I mean, we had a lot more freedom. We used to be able to do a lot of things without having something happen to us. Where, my brother was like, well, just have her ride her bike there and do it. And I'm like, I ain't going to have Samantha be on her bicycle going 3 miles down the road to a store or whatever.
Yeah,
we used to do it all the time. I said, I know we did. But what happened to kids now and what happened to us back then is way different.
Exactly.
Back then we used to go in the streets. We were being taught to look around before we cross the street, respect the cars that are going around. Right now, kids, they run in there. They don't know what to do.
Well, there was a bowling alley by my house, and I was told not to go in it. None of the kids were supposed to go in it,
Yeah, right.
Something happened there or whatever. But walking home one time, it was hot. I mean, in the 90s. So we decided we're going to go in there, see if we can get a drink of water. Walked in, used the drinking fountain, and walked out. When I come walking up the street, the moms were out on the porches waiting for us kids.
Yeah.
To come home. And
Wow.
I tell you what, I got my butt wore out when I got
Mamas
in that
know. Mamas know, man. They didn't need
No,
cell
back
phones
then, older people liked to squeal on kids and get them in trouble.
Get out of my yard
I
if
bet
you
you
don't
about
understand.
5 of us all got our butts wore out for being inside that bowling alley. But that's how things were. If I went onto another street a couple blocks away and I did something wrong, my mom got a call before I even got back home.
I did that in high school, man. High school, I moaned somebody one time and got home, and she found out before I got home.
Yeah.
I'm like, really?
Oh, yeah. You know, back in those days, I could get a spanking from a neighbor and then get a spanking from my parents.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you never got just one spanking.
Bill, how is your clown coming?
My clown? Well, I looked at it.
That's making me laugh. It's coming along pretty good.
I guess he's not going to be clowning around anytime soon.
Oh boy, he's too busy flying to build.
Yeah, well, today I went bike riding in the morning, and in the afternoon I went slope soaring, and in the evening I went trout fishing, and now I'm on this.
What a shitty life you live.
Wow,
Horrible.
that's awesome, Bill.
How do you fit it all in?
Wow, what a time.
Hey, Charles, I got a question for you, and it's not
right.
to do with model airplanes, but
He didn't build it yet, Steve.
do they make? Do you guys carry a head cleaner for inkjet printers?
No, not anymore. We don't have anything. We just want to sell you new stuff.
Well, this is for that Epson Eco Tank, and the heads plug up. I got on Google. It shows how to clean them.
Right.
Because no matter how much ink you use, you never replace the printing head.
Wow. Yeah. Printing heads are. I'm talking about the ones that don't have the tanks, the regular conventional ones. The printing heads are. You need at least 2 printing heads, sometimes as many as 4. But the price to replace them is like the price of a new printer. And so I always tell people, go ahead and buy a new printer, because no sense spending that equal amount of money on print heads not having a new warranty. Buy a new printer. That way you get a new warranty. I mean, automatically you get the manufacturer warranty, or you can get an extra extended warranty. So that's what I've always advised people.
We live in a
I
throwaway
finally
world.
found a printer. I finally found a printer that outlasts a lot of replacement cartridges. It's a little Canon printer, and it's a combination scanner and copier printer, and that's the first really decent little plastic printer I've ever had. Had Lexmarks, all kinds of stuff that never worked longer than the heads did. But this Canon's been a delight. It's a great little printer.
Well, they said that the newer ones, and it's like my Epson here. The ink costs $110 to replace it all, but it has new printing heads in the cartridge.
Right. Yeah. Right.
So where this Eco Tank, I mean, how you can pour a gallon of printing stuff in there. Samantha really likes it for, but that was like a $380 printer. And now the heads are all getting clogged up.
Time for a new printer.
See if you can find a YouTube video on how to clean it. There's got to be a way to clean it. I mean, I have an old HP printer. I have a lot of printers, but I have one right next to me. It's an HP 6500, and every year or so ago, I'm cleaning I clean the print head. It has this one big print head, and I clean it with warm water with a drop of dishwasher detergent and aluminum foil, like pie tins, I keep doing it till it's clean with no ink, and then I let it dry. And oh, by the way, when I dry it with a coffee filter. You don't want to have anything which leaves a residue. And this thing is still going. And so it sometimes you're lucky if a printer lasts, it can last you 10 years. I mean, this printer's at least that old and it works great. It's just if you spend at least if you spend at least $150, I'd say you're going to have a decent printer. When you get those really cheap printers, I mean, don't get me wrong. If a $150 printer is on sale for $69, that's still a $150 printer. You at least spend that kind of money. It's a decent printer. But the cheaper ones, you're going to spend so much more on ink. Anyways, I'm done talking
And
about.
you can't throw them away.
Oh, I thought Rusty fell asleep.
You're not supposed to throw them in landfills either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
hey, you guys, I have a question from a guy in the chat box. It's actually a repeat. John, would you mind explaining again? You did such a good job. He wants to know about the reverse bell crank and why. Can you do that again?
Sure. Sure. You guys help me out if I make a mistake here. Years ago we figured it out that when you're flying along, when your plane's flying along, and you give it up control, when you give it up control, it yaws out, and it helps maintain the tension on an inside loop. The problem is sometimes that yaw gets causing some wiggles and some other things, and so you want to diminish that yaw. You'll have it, but you don't need as much as you're getting, and by using the front line as the up line, that changes the moment arm, and gives you a force against the yaw from the turn. In other words, that line, that up line, is taking more pull when it's in front, and that because the line is 2 inches further or 4 inches further forward than it would be if you set it up with the up line in the back. That's a difference in the moment, and that takes away some of the tension as you go around on the up. Now the opposite happens on the down. You give it down, and this is why Ray rudders are so popular too. You give it down, and it wants to nose in on you. It lightens up on your tension. So down means it wants to point its nose, yaw its nose towards you, and a Ray rudder is set up to kick in some rudder to keep it going forward. Well, you can also get some relief by having the down line now at the back with your bell crank reverse, because at the back now it moves that moment further aft, and so what happens? You got the weight of the nose, the motor, and all of that out there, and you got your moment further aft, and so it wants to yaw that nose out a little bit, so it helps offset some of the natural forces that you get in maneuvering the airplane. Remember, up wants to yaw the nose out, down wants to yaw the nose in. The reverse bell crank helps, and sometimes if it doesn't help enough, you'll put a Ray rudder on it.
Very good, John. That was for Dennis on our chat line. I know, Dennis, you are lagging about 5 minutes behind, so hopefully that answer from John, you got that, or we'll get that in 5 minutes.
Okay.
I've got a simple question.
The Ray rudder is mostly effective on planes with large propellers, right?
Well, large propellers does increase the precession and the all of that. The more weight you got swinging in a circle, the more power, the more moment arm you got in the precession and other things, and so you need to have some of these things with a larger propeller. You have to have a certain size propeller to cut it to fly the pattern with. So you got to kind of learn these or use these little tricks. For instance, flying just flat and level, the precession, the downward swinging edge prop, the one going down, gets a bigger bite of the air than the one coming up. And so what that does is it reacts 90 degrees to the motion. So what that means is with a standard counterclockwise prop, the precession will cause the nose to want to rise. And because the nose is trying to rise because of the precession, that's one of the things that cause hunting. Okay, you're hunting because that nose is trying to rise because of the precession. And the heavier the prop you put on it, the more power it has to try to rise. So there's a key, there's a thing to do it. And you notice full-scale airplanes, we look at them all the time, they got down thrust. I mean, they have the same problem. They got down thrust. The down thrust helps them overcome that precession. And it works on our stunt planes as well. For instance, you can have everything set up 0, 0, 0, 0 thrust line to 0 center line on your rib to 0 center line on your stab and elevator. Have it all 0, 0, 0, and your only thing you use to help stop the precession, the rise of the nose, is to bias your elevator down. We used to find that they flew better back in the 50s when they started wearing out and you had some slop in that elevator, that they flew better because the elevator was not actuating, or the flaps were not actuating as fast and rapid and causing fluctuations. Or anyway, it would help stop the hunting. But you could take a brand new airplane with tight controls, put 1 to 2 degrees of down thrust in it, and maybe 1 degree of out thrust, just so you make sure it's not thrusted inwise. You don't want any in thrust when you're flying control line. So setting a plane up that way, brand new, it'll fly, and you get all your controls even, zeroed out, evened out, and it'll fly right off the bench. You will find that you'll have very little trimming problems unless you build a really crooked wing or something like that. Everything's straight, everything's aligned. The down thrust, the plane flies beautifully. My LE, I had hardly 4 or 5 flights on it before it's all trimmed out, ready to go. And I'm not blessed with the controls variations that Tran can put in his because of the nature of his construction. So I had to try to design it in as we designed it so that it would work with what we could do externally to change the controls.
The other purpose of down thrust on a full-size aircraft is that as you change speed, you don't have to change the trim as much.
And the reason you have to change the trim, Tom, is because that precession is causing your nose to rise, as well as increased lift.
The speed of the airplane would increase lift, but that down thrust for that speed variation helps the trim, so there's less or little trim adjustment when you change speed in a full-size aircraft.
Well, even jet aircraft have a little down thrust or a little thrust adjustment on them.
Well, John, my new plane, I have a name for it. It's called Precious Balsa. It has down thrust in it, so I'm doing this by faith because I know that you wouldn't steer me wrong.
Not intentionally.
Bob Whiteley told me the same thing, so I can't wait to get this Precious Balsa done, because it has a lot of things in it like down thrust and some other things that I'm putting into it that I'm hoping is going to make it a killer airplane.
Well, if you can talk to Bob Whiteley, he's the one that turned me on to it. And you can talk to Bob Whiteley and get his information on it. I came across in my records his article on it. things that always work. And if you go on the Pampa side, remember Pampa, you can go in and search through the old issues of Stunt News, and you can find it. And I would highly suggest people do that and make a copy of it, put it in their file so they can read it often. Because this man, he's no slouch. He's one of those guys sit there and watch you fly. You land, and he'll tell you what trim adjustments you need to make.
Yeah, where did you learn to fly off the water?
What's that?
I asked Tom where you learned how to fly off the water. Did you take lessons or you just do it?
In his backyard.
I don't recommend this, but I just did it.
Whoa. Wow.
Do a lot of high-speed taxiing, Tom?
It was a little hairy at first, learning on my own, but so definitely don't do as I say, not as I do.
Take at least one check ride with somebody
That's putting you.
Bill had a question earlier.
Oh yeah, I was just wondering, like Rusty, for your half A with those spectral lines, what do you use to wrap it around? I mean, I used a
I don't think you wrap them around.
Can, but there's got to be something better.
Oh,
my favorite thing are these seamless rings that I've got at my fishing outfitter. They're not split rings. There's no seam, and they're steel. And I tie them onto those. They're about what'd you say?
I said Bass Pro has a really nice.
They're about 5/16. Well, let's see. No, more like they're about 3/16 inside diameter, and then I just tie that on the end of them.
What about you, Bill Frank?
Well, I mean, just to for a reel to roll it up on. What do you use?
I roll it up on the handle because most of those half A handles have notches at the ends, rectangular notches. And you just, when you get through flying, you're standing there holding the handle in your hand, so just wrap it like that, which you can't do with steel, but you can with fishing line, braided fishing line. I'm not actually using Spectra, but it's the early version of the same type stuff. It's spider wire, G-Sump.
You use that for full size plane too?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, you can,
but I could. I mean,
You wanna
that's
go
what
up to-
combat guys use.
yeah, you want to go up to 60 to 80 pound test.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've got some
use
180
braid
pound.
just for half A.
I've got some 180 pound braid that I use for my pull string on the RC cars, but I mean, I know that's too much. But I didn't know, if with the bigger airships, if it would be wise to use it or stay with steel.
It's just not legal competition.
No,
I don't fly competition anyway, so I don't care. I don't care about competition. I just want it to be safe. I don't want it to break off and go flying through somebody's windshield or something.
Yeah.
The important thing to
I
learn
use steel on the big planes because that's what's legal in contests. But for the half A's, I always use a 40 or 60 pound fishing line from Walmart, braided fishing line, and it's not the AMA legal stuff necessarily. I usually use. The reason is I hadn't bought any since I bought spider wire back in 2013 when it first came out, and I got the same spools of spider wire. I got when I go to fly half A, I take a 35 foot, I take a 40 foot and a 45 foot, depending on the weather and the plane. I hook whatever handle I need for that day up, and I've been walking on it and wrapping it up the wrong way and everything since day one, and it hadn't worn out, so I hadn't bought any since then.
The
What about
important thing you need to learn is how to tie a good clinch knot. A good
Yeah.
fisherman's
You
knot.
do have to learn to tie a knot that won't slip loose.
Yeah.
Yep.
And braid's not. You can't tie it the same way you do monofilament. Know that.
What
No.
I was just looking at Home Depot right now. It just something just went through my brains, right? So I went to Home Depot. I looked for PVC pipe, and you know how they have those fittings that fit inside of another pipe. I was thinking, cut a slice of the 4-inch PVC pipe and put a couple of rings from the caps, glue them in, and you have a reel.
Yeah.
Just quick
You
and
can, go
dirty.
to, you can go to Bass Pro to their online catalog, and they've got like a 6-inch reel.
Wow,
that you
nice.
can buy. And they're cheap. They're not expensive.
Mhm.
You know, and they're perfect. I plan on getting some of those for my steel lines as well.
That's a fishing reel, right?
It's not a fishing reel. It's a reel that you could put your lines and your leaders. If you go to Bass Pro, I think it's BassPro.com or wherever you get there.
Yeah.
You can see them in there, and they're very well made, and they make a nice, 6 or 8 inch reel. Doesn't put a kink in your lines.
They're used for the saltwater guys that use the steel leaders for the toothy critters.
Yeah.
All right, Spirit of Saginaw kit update.
All right.
I guess who was ever putting the hardware package together for the kit thought the Spirit of Saginaw was a tail dragger, because what they did supply is they supplied 4 nylon landing gear clips. They did not include anything for the nose gear.
Oh, no.
So either you have to make your own or you have to go out and buy them. They do not come in the kit.
You are taking notes to get back to Brodax, right?
Yeah. But as I made my own, so I'm not that worried. I had some good stuff around to make my own, so I'm not worried about it. The other thing is, who ever thought of providing 440? What are those screws that have the head? What are fillet screws that are like angled like this?
Countersunk.
Countersunk.
A beveled head.
Providing 440 countersunk screws, a couple of washers, and a couple of nuts to mount an engine.
That's kind of dumb.
Well,
kind of bizarre.
there is somebody there is one where they've done that, where they have embedded the countersink on the outside doubler, and then they just put they got the screws sticking out. They set the engine in there on the screws, put your washer and your lock nut on there, and that goes out on the engine side.
To flush mount.
That'll work. I never did it that way, but I suppose that would work.
That's a
You can
road.
get steel washers that those fit flush with.
But like I said, they do not
You can get
supply any
steel washers
landing
that
gear
those
clips.
countersunk screws fit flush with.
Well, hold that fuselage up. I want to see it again.
Oh, okay. Let's hold it the proper way.
Well, that looks
Then
good.
I started building out for the nose ring in the front.
Yeah, hold it for a second while I make it big.
That looks good there, Peter.
There we go.
So that's like I said. I use these metal straps. Actually, they're metal straps that are used in a D shell for an RS-232 serial connection, and I've got a ton of them. So I use those to secure the secure the landing gear. Of course, scoot back. Of course, what I did was I started notching that part out, because that part ultimately will cover
right there.
Cover the landing gear like that.
Nice.
And then I started building up around the nose for the nose ring blocks. So
Nice.
that is sitting there, and it just has. Once I put the nose ring on, I just have to carve it all to shape.
One thing I'd suggest doing is put some inside the nose ring itself area. Instead of having the square corners there, put some 1/4 inch triangle stock in there, just so you can come out with a nice round interior and not get too.
Yeah, I understand, I know what you mean. But the thing is that if I can get it somewhat lined up, right there, like that.
You need that. You need that little bit in there to just finish that.
Yeah, in the corners.
Yeah.
In this corner, that corner.
And some little triangle stock balsa in there with 1/4 inch triangle stock would work fine. That's looking good, though, Peter.
Yeah, it's gonna look a lot better once I get that all carved and all.
Oh yeah.
And then of course the fun time begins. I have to start on the wing.
I don't think that wing's that hard to build.
No, not actually. I hate sanding because I have to go outside to do that.
Well, I use one of those little small planes, and I'll plane it, and take a lot off with the plane, and then I'll sand. I don't have nearly as much sanding to do that way.
Peter, you're starting to sound like you want to go outside.
I think you both are talking at the same time there, Steve.
I told Peter he sounds like these young kids now who don't want to go outside.
Hey, it's 92 degrees.
Yeah.
I've got a Midwest Air Cobra that's tricycle landing gear.
Yeah.
And they're fine and dandy on smooth surfaces, but landing in grass, I found that I kept bending the nose gear. So I drilled the hole out, and I put me an RC landing gear on it with the spring on it.
Wow.
Because because we always flew in grass, and you don't always have the smoothest surface. And all it takes is one little clump of grass, and next thing you know, your nose wheels folded up on you.
Yeah.
I've never seen an airplane with 4 wheels, so aren't they all tricycle landing gear?
Because I've got some that's only got 2.
I had one that only had 1.
Yeah.
Same here. Yeah.
Yeah, Skyray's got 1.
Yeah, Electric's got 1.
It'll be a mono landing gear then.
Yeah.
So John, your design is that something new?
52 degrees tonight.
The JB special.
I mean, yeah, or is that like something? Been other prototypes too with this plane, or
Bill? This airplane was designed almost 18 years ago, and there has been one prototype built, and the guy that built it changed everything. He changed it to what he wanted, and so I don't have a good representation of how it built because what he built.
Well, that ain't your plane.
Yeah, and so to be honest with you, I've got one, but I haven't been able to build it. I've got one all ready to build, all laser cut and all that. But I haven't been able to build it because I didn't have my shop, and I, be getting electrocuted and all of that, kind of put the kibosh on me for the last 8 or 9 years. So I will admit that the plane is new in the respect that even though there's been a prototype built, the prototype kind of doesn't count.
No, wouldn't count.
Hey Tom, how warm did it get there where you're at today?
72.
104.
72 is the high, and 52 is going to be the low tonight.
What's funny is Samantha and her boyfriend went to the UP for her birthday because it's her birthday today.
Wow.
And it's colder than shit up here. And I told him, I said, you better bring some winter clothes. And she's like, what? I said, I did that one year. And I said, if you get a good wind off of Lake Superior, you get a cold front come out of Canada. I said, sometimes you're lucky if you hit 60 degrees up there, even during the summer.
Wow.
Well, she said they had on hooded sweatshirts and stuff today because it was pretty damn
Like
cold.
San Francisco.
Hey, Mike, Monkey, how you doing?
What's
Good.
up? I'm just listening to all you old hens cackle and reading some old issues of stunt news.
You fly that new airplane?
No, we didn't go yesterday. We had them in the car. We went and raced RC cars with some friends of ours at the track, and the airplane field's in the same spot. But by the time we got done racing, it was so hot yesterday, and we were out there for about 4 hours. Neither Sam nor I had it in us to fly, so we just went ahead and came on home. But we're going tomorrow. We're gonna go fly tomorrow, first thing. We got the whole day, and the weather's going to be good. So, and I wanted to change the wheels up anyway. It had these little tiny, dinky little 1 3/4 wheels, and where we fly, it's pretty rough at the RC field. So I put some like 3.5-inch wheels on it. But it looks ridiculous.
Bicycle time.
Looks like one of those.
They look
That doesn't look
ridiculous.
too bad.
That's not bad.
No,
I think it looks, you'll like them better. They're thinner.
I was thinking it was the big balloon wheels. Look like one of those Alaska planes. Got the big
Looks
bush
like
planes. Yeah.
looks like a cartoon wheel on a cartoon airplane.
Yep.
Yeah,
Hey, Mike, quick question.
Yeah.
Hobby Lobby still open in Brentwood?
Oh no, they lost their lease several years ago. They're closed.
Okay.
They've been gone for almost 5 years now.
Yeah. Figured I didn't see anything listed on them.
Yeah, I don't even know if they're still an internet company anymore.
No,
to be
it's
honest
not.
with you. Okay.
Not unless they changed their name.
No, I mean that was the only. Excuse me. The Brentwood, Tennessee store was the only storefront location nationwide for that. They were strictly mail order and online sales. But that was the only place you could actually walk in and buy stuff from Hobby Lobby. We're talking about Hobby Lobby, the hobby store. They sold drones and cars and airplanes. Not Hobby Lobby, the craft store.
Yeah, right. That's the craft store.
They used to advertise in the RCM modeler, and I'm sure all you guys know Hobby Lobby. They've been around forever.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're done. They're done.
They're done now.
As a matter of fact, I was looking to get I was actually looking to order some blind nuts.
Test pilots, and he was on their team. You know, he tested all their stuff. Him and I fly powered paragliders together. His name's Jason Cole, and he got all kinds of free stuff there and got to test all kinds of things. And I just saw him in AMA magazine. I want to say he won pattern. He won some big, like maybe it was World Championships last year or something like that. But anyway, he's big RC. Excuse me, RC pattern guy now.
Hey, Mike. Mike, I have a question for you, Mike. Did you see the new model aviation magazine?
Yep, my 8-pin on it.
The reason why I say that is because they have a section on the Dremel 500 table saw. I know you have one. It's a really good article on the Dremel. Did you see that?
You know, I flipped through that in the can in about 5 minutes. Garbage, man. I didn't even save it. So, no, I missed that part.
Yeah, there's a good article on the Dremel, how to
to rebuild the bearings and all that kind of stuff.
the different accessories. It's a really good. And also, there's a great picture of me in there also. You missed it.
Oh, there's a great picture of you in there?
Yeah, there's a great picture of me, yeah. on page 47. I told the guys about it last time.
Let's see it.
There goes the magazine now.
Let's see it.
Let me make myself big so I can see what I'm looking at. Okay.
Ah, look at that.
You see the great picture of me? I'm the guy
That's not him.
all the way on the side, walking out away from the circle.
Yeah.
Hey, you look good, Charles.
Or at least they didn't get you. At least they didn't get you coming out of the porta potty or something.
Yeah. You see that, Mike?
Yeah,
What page is that on?
I read the article on BSC.
47.
It's on page 47. It's a great picture of me. I mean, I'm trying to show everybody at the flying field. I go, did you see the picture of me in Molly Aviation News? Everyone goes, no, I didn't see it. And I go, how could you miss it? And so I have a magnifying glass in my pocket with me, and I pulled the page out and I show them with a magnifying glass. I go, that's me.
Well, that reminds me of a funny story. We had in skydiving, we had Parachutist magazine, okay? And in the back, they do like the district thing, just like I made little tiny pictures of the different districts. So in Parachutist magazine, anytime anybody got their license, we would have a picture of them getting their license, and there'd be 50 people in the picture, the guy getting their license. But it would be literally the size of a postage stamp in the back of the magazine. Like your head was the size of a pin. That's how small the photograph was. But we would always joke, look, I made the magazine. I'm in the magazine. I made the magazine. But you can't.
Right.
Well, I'm going to have to fish that one out of the trash, Charles, and pin you up on the board.
Yes, it's that.
I didn't know you.
I'll autograph it when I see you next time, okay?
Yeah, don't worry.
And you know what? I'm not as fortunate as Steve because Steve, all his pictures of Samantha, he always is in the magazine.
Yeah, but I'm always smoking the cigarette. The picture is me like bringing a cigarette to my mouth. In every single one of them.
Yeah.
Samuel will make Pat's news quite a bit last year. He was on the website this year.
We have an echo now.
We do that. Hello.
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 Does someone else have the YouTube on or something? Or
no? Didn't
That's too
happen
bad.
until I started talking.
No, it's clear for the longest time.
Okay.
Oh well.
I was in a magazine one time called Action Pursuit Games. It's a paintball magazine. When I was in Pearl, we played paintball a lot there.
Hang on. Let's Tryon left. He just waved goodbye. Tryon, he left the party.
And they got a tournament over there every year called the Aloha Classic. And our little club or whatever you want to call it, we did refereeing, and we had our picture taken in the magazine. I had it somewhere. I don't know what all happened to it, but I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. I've had a few pictures taken in Stunt News of me, a couple.
You wouldn't recognize the pictures of me without the beard, with more hair, and the hair wasn't white, and I didn't have this.
Yeah, and it happens. Imagine as Sam, Mike's son, gets more celebrated, there'd be a chance for Mike Lonke to get more pictures too in the magazines, just being next to his son.
Yeah.
I saw a picture at Derek Barry here recently, and the last time I saw him, he was just a little kid, just wasn't much older, maybe a year or two older than Sam at the time.
John, Derek is a good friend of mine, and his son Liam and Sam they're fast friends, even though there's about a 5-year age gap there. Sam's 11, I think Liam is 6. Yeah. But they're contest buddies, man. Boy, when we go to a contest together, those two are thick as thieves, man. They just love hanging out together and
Well, that's cool.
computers, all that good stuff.
That's cool, Mike.
We'll be seeing them here in Canton shortly, in a couple weeks for the Canton contest. Matter of fact, we're bringing Liam a plane. We're giving him a Vampire that Watt Moore built with got an FP20 on it, OS FP20. We're taking that down for Liam to have. Sam got it from Watt like 3 years ago at Brodax, and he doesn't really fly it anymore. He's outgrown it, and we don't fly old time, so it'll be a good little trainer for Liam, you know.
Keep passing it around. That's what grows the hobby.
We got a bunch to get rid of. I think we're.
You gonna go to the Dayton contest this weekend?
No,
I haven't been. I've seen it. I thought about it. It's 6 hours for me.
It's 18 or 19 for me, so I won't make it.
I guess John Paris is going.
Yeah, I thought about it because I saw they were doing stunt and all that. Problem is, if they did Pampa on Saturday, it'd be easy because then I'd just drive in for Pampa and be able to drive home Sunday. But driving home 6 hours after a Sunday contest it's a little hard when we got school the next day, you know.
Yeah.
Might make that suggestion to him, you know.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
On that JB Special, what size engines it recommended for?
Well, it was designed for a 60 size engine, preferably the 61 Stalker was what it's actually designed around. But it'll take a 40 or 46 VF on a pipe. It'll take a just about any piped engine.
I've got an Enya 60.
Rear exhaust?
I've got an old Fox Eagle 60.
Wow.
Yeah.
I got a Super Tiger 51. I think that's the biggest ones I got.
Well, any of those engines that work, it's 656 square inches. So
that's a big one right there. It's a big tank.
Yeah, 7 ounce or more.
This one right here is Fox Eagle 60. Weighs
probably 17 ounces.
Yeah.
14. This with the rev up. It's got a rev up 11 7/4 prop on it right now, just for shits and giggles.
What's your Tiger 51 weigh?
The Enya 60 weighs 13.4.
Is that a rear exhaust Enya or?
Huh? No, it's
Oh, okay. That should be a good engine.
Yeah, that's just like a Super Tiger.
Yeah.
The old Super Tiger
60.
60, yeah.
Oh, it's a Super Tiger 56 is what I got.
Okay.
Oh yeah, it's lighter.
13 even.
That's with a prop on it, so that's lighter.
Yeah, those engines would work quite well. Either one of those last two.
Hey, Peter.
Yeah.
PM me an address so I can ship you those props.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I need an address. You better get them because I'm out, man. I don't have many left.
Hey, John, have you ever used the Aeros? Yeah, Aero. Is it Aeros? Hold on.
Aerostar?
No, it's not Aerostar. It's the one that Tom Dixon used to carry.
Double Star.
Double Star. Have you ever used a Double Star 40?
No, I never have. I heard both good and bad things about it, and since I was already into the stalkers, I couldn't see going out on something that I didn't know compared to something I already knew. I know Transom, he had them make bigger ones, based on that case, and he had the wherewithal to have it done. I think they had 50s built on that case. So when he wanted the power. So anyway, no, I think they're good engines. It's just I didn't get involved in them.
Okay, I'm trying to think of what to put on that Saginaw airplane of mine. I got just about every engine, but
what do you got
for engines?
Yeah,
anything from an FP35, 40, LAs, 46s, 40s. I got that double star. I got Super Tiger 35. I got the Evolution 36. I got the newer Enya 40s.
You like that Evolution?
I love it.
Actually, every one of them, just about every one of them you mentioned, would be good on it. You don't want to have too heavy an engine up there. You want to keep. You leaving, Mike?
Yep, he's gone.
Yeah, he's going. You don't want too heavy an engine up there because you know what.
That's why I was thinking about that 40, but I heard it ran something like, like a stalker. It was made by the same company and stuff like that, but I don't know for sure.
Well, what you could do is make it so you can use air engines that might have different bolt patterns on it. There's universal mounts that you can put on there that way you can mount just about any engine you want and line it up to where it fits properly. I think your Evo would be a good one. I think you mentioned the Super Tiger 40 or 35. Both of those are good ones. The Enya, anything Enya, whether it's a 4224 in a 45, that's a good engine. Your OS 46 LA is a great engine for it.
Yeah, I'm just looking for the weight wise on what, so I don't have to add tail weight to the thing.
Well, how much does the LA 46 weigh?
It's probably about, I think there's 7.8 ounces or something like that compared to 6 on that.
Without the muffler.
Yeah, without the muffler.
Yeah, without the muffler. And that something star there, that only weighs 6 ounces.
Yeah, the double star is really light.
Yeah.
The bad thing I heard, and I don't know if this is true because I never ran one, but the bad thing I heard that they didn't have much more power than a Fox 35.
Yeah, well, that's true until you open up the damn Venturi, which I had it on an airplane and I hated it and took it off. And I talked to John Paris when I seen him flying his, and I'm like, damn, I wish mine flew the way yours did. He goes, "Did you open up the Venturi?" And I said, "No." And he told me what to open, 290 or something like that. And I opened it up, and that thing, it runs. Even on the bench, you can really tell how well it runs.
Well, that would be a good candidate because it is light.
Yeah.
Hey, Steve,
Say what?
Good night, guys.
Oh, good night.
Take care. Thank you, Charles.
My pleasure, man. Thanks for your help.
Good job.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
There was a question there about the Super Tiger. What was that?
Jeff,
what did that weigh?
Say what?
What did it weigh?
The Super Tiger?
Yeah.
I didn't weigh the Super Tiger.
I thought, oh, geez. His name is not on the board. Somebody just weighed a Super Tiger 50-something.
Oh, I had a 56.
Steve, let me get cut in here. Steve, Jeff Riley, he recommended a shiny Fox case.
Yeah, 35.
That's
no,
what
35. Well, no, he didn't say. He just said put a Fox shiny case on it. He didn't say what size. Hey, Jeff Riley, what size are you talking about?
He's talking about that shiny case 35 Fox.
That's one of the best Foxes they ever made.
Yeah.
Peter, my Super Tiger 56 with a 10.6 master air screw weighs 13 ounces.
Oh, okay.
That prop weighs over an ounce.
Yeah.
This OS Max 60. It's an H-type 60. Is 13.35 ounces. And I thought this was a heavy motor.
Yeah, well, he's got a prop on his that weighs over an ounce, probably, or at least an ounce.
Oh, okay. No,
I can take the prop off real quick. See what it weighs.
I'm putting a side mounted or a side exhaust Stalker 40 on my Saginaw.
That I just don't have one. And the other thing I got that Fox Inu 35 that's built on the 25 case, and that damn thing only weighs like 5 ounces. But then I'd be adding nose weight probably.
My Super Tiger 56 with no prop weighs. Well, let me shoot. It's jumping around. Make sure I'm teared out here. 12.4.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the engine to use. Yeah, obviously. I just thought it was sounded a little bit heavy because the OS 35 H series, the old loop scavenged H series 60 weighs 13.3.
Yeah.
Well, Steve, so I had to look long and hard to find somebody that had one that they were willing to sell.
Yeah. I
think they might still be making them new, but you're talking over $200 for an engine.
Yeah.
So, I would say you've already got the double star. I'd try that first if you've got it where it's running right and making good power.
One thing about it, if I use the double star, I can put the shiny case Fox right in its place because it's the same length.
There you go. That'd make our buddy happy, wouldn't it?
Yeah. That's the only thing about using that one is that when you make that engine fit in there, it's like making a Fox 35 fit in.
Are they the same? Are they the same length on the shaft?
Same length on the spinner. I mean, to the nose of it and everything.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's what I'd use. If you already got it, that's what I'd use.
Okay, since we're on the question here of engines on planes, some of my blueprints I have are the older, probably 40s, 50s airplanes that have the spark ignition in them.
Wow.
So, it's a smaller plane, but it calls for like a 60 because it's got the coil and the battery pack and all that extra weight in there. What would be the best way to determine what size engine to put in it? Should I just cut all the pieces out, weigh it, and see what the thing's going to weigh?
Now you're thinking about putting a glow engine in instead of the sparker?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like that biplane I showed you.
6.8.
Find out what a sparker engine weighs with all the stuff, and then they'll kind of give you an idea on what.
Well, not all sparkers made the like a sparker 60. And I'm going on what I heard, not what I know. But what I heard was a sparker 60 might be equivalent to a modern 35.
Well, that's what I was thinking. They're going to be smaller engines because, I mean, it's got like a 32-inch wingspan, but it's a biplane too. So,
yeah.
But some of the other stuff, I've got a couple of Fokker biplanes and triplane, and they all had the spark engines in them. But I thought, why is a small plane like this got a 60 in it? But then I figured, well, it's pulling the extra weight for the coil and the battery and all that other stuff. But I guess they weren't pulling as much power.
Yeah, they didn't have any power.
They were slow turning,
their power was at lower RPMs. That's when they had the torque came in, and so they used large props with large pitches. In those days, though, a stunt pattern was flown at 90 miles an hour.
I still do.
And well, yeah, but anyway. The planes were small. They hadn't evolved very far yet. The idea was to be able to fly in circles and fly them fast. In fact, just as an aside here, when big echo here. Anyway, Paul Palmer went on his world tour. They went over to England. When he showed up with his first T-Bird, the T-Bird 1, he showed up there and he had one that had a radial cowl on, but they all had 35 size engines on it. And they were flying smaller stunt planes there with bigger engines. They didn't think that 35 would haul that bigger airplane. And when he started flying and doing his shows, he showed them, quite frankly, that it would outperform what they were using because they didn't have enough wing to support it in the air. That they needed the horsepower from the engine, just to keep it in the air. So he actually changed the direction of stunt as we know it with that tour going around the country. The 334 was a British design that had won their nationals, and it was a small airplane with a big engine. You can look on, I think, Hip Pocket and see a drawing and see the plans for the 334. So anyway, just a little aside.
But yeah, if you can figure out, take it easy, Tom. Be careful flying off the water.
Yeah.
Okay.
See you, Tom.
Yeah.
It's not as bad to crash on water because it's not as hard as dirt.
All right, so, yep. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Just for information's sake, the Spirit of Saginaw original model was basically designed to use the OS 35 Max S. Okay,
Yep.
Just to give you an idea of what the weight ballpark is going to be for it to have the CG come out in the right place and not be tail heavy or nose heavy. The OS 35 Max S comes in at 6.8 ounces. So whatever engine you're sticking in there, if it's over 6.8, without a muffler or a propeller on it, may have issues of having to need tail weight, especially when I say that the original Spirit of Saginaw did not have all of this going on in the front, and it certainly did not have this other piece back here going on.
Right. So that's why I was trying to keep down to
when you look at this plane, that's what this is. All that is all the way back out there at the at the tail end. So what I was thinking is that if anything, it's going to end up being nose heavy.
Yeah, that's why I want to. A Brodak 40 only weighs 6 ounces, and that Double Star only weighs 6 ounces. By the time you put a muffler on it, you're just about to the 6.8 ounces.
You can use a tongue muffler though and say,
yeah.
How do y'all go about adding tail weight?
Little sticky weights.
Just sticky tire weights?
Yeah.
That's what I always did it.
Yeah.
Well, you do that, or you can build a box back there and use the same kind of weights as the wingtip weight and just close them in the box.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
kind of hard on a profile plane though.
I'm doing a Stunt Hangar 36 Pro, and that's 7.7. So it's exactly 1 ounce heavier than the 35.
Yeah. In fact, you got to figure that OS was ran without a muffler.
Yep.
So.
I'm just, that's what I'm saying. It's just that was what the original was built out to support, was the OS Max 35S. And like I said, it did not have all of the fancy front end work done on it as the kit comes.
Well, the wood that you got there, I don't imagine that the wood is going to weigh more than a half an ounce.
No. I'm just saying, relatively speaking, if anything, he was saying that perhaps it's going to need it's going to be tail heavy. No, I don't think it's going to be tail heavy.
Yeah, well, that's right. And that extra wood up there around the nose there helps a lot on keeping the nose aligned. It keeps it from shaking.
Yeah, especially if you're going to stick one of these on the front.
Right.
Yeah.
John, you're the only John Miller on there that's from Utah, right?
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna send you a message on or a PM on the Stunt Hangar here, and we'll settle up some way.
Yeah, whatever. Like I say,
that was a nice looking plane. I'd like to try to tackle it.
Okay, you built other models. It's not an easy build. It's a little, you got to sit and think about it because of the way.
I like a challenge.
Yeah, it's a challenge, but it has a double fuselage type thing on it.
Well, I've got blueprints for another one that's not the Typhoon. It's the what did I do with?
Hi, Jeff.
Hey, Charles.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Jeff.
What's going on, man?
Hey, man.
Am I covered in sawdust? Can you see it?
Yeah. It's the Typhoon. And this guy has it. Let's see, bring it up on my computer here. Where is it? Oh well, but anyway, it's got like yours, it's got the inner fuselage, and then it has, he puts foam on it, styrofoam, and shaped the styrofoam, and then wrapped it in the 16 plywood. I mean,
a foam buck.
Yeah, that's the easy way to do it.
But I was going to do it different, and just do just make the stringers bigger and make it just a bigger hollow body.
Yeah. Well, whatever, I would take where the stringers are.
But yours has the stringers on it, so that'd be a little easier than carving all that foam out.
Right. And the thing is where between the stringers, I've got it squared on there. I've since learned that I should have put a little scallop on there, so those stringers weren't on the formers weren't the same height as the stringers, because you don't want to have a line show there, and I need to make a change on that to show it that way.
Yeah. This is the Hawker Typhoon. It says designed and inked by Steve Ashby.
I've heard that name before.
And it's a 56-inch wingspan. Says it calls for a 46. But a lot of carving, a lot of shaping that I don't really care to do.
Well, on the JB Special, depending on how heavy you make it, it could easily be powered by an LA-46.
Yeah.
If you didn't go all out on the weight,
Right. Well, like I say, it just depends on what kind of wood you can get.
It depends on where you buy your wood too, because the wood that I've been getting lately is crap.
Right. Well, see, and with the inner fuselage being made out of 16th-inch balsa, you can use some A or C grain there, and you can use a little bit heavier. You don't need 4 ounce. You could use 6. Or
One thing I did notice about when you curve, when you shape balsa wood, like 16th balsa, when you form it, it doesn't have to be that A grain super strong like a flat fuselage side has to be A grain.
Right.
But if you're gonna bend it, if you're gonna mold it or shape it around something, you can get away with C grain where it doesn't have to be quite
No
as
way,
strong.
really? Because everyone says that it'll crack, it'll pop and crack.
Wet it more.
Not if you wet it.
Even sea grain?
Put more water on it. Put more water on it.
Sparky sets his in the tub and sets a couple of cans of beans on it, and sets it in there for about 15 minutes.
And that's really not
and that's
a
how
bad
he forms
idea,
all his
'cause it
stuff.
works really good.
Well, I'd be happy, Ed, to send you the plans so that you could. It'll be a challenge. It'll be a good. It won't challenge you to the point of desperation, I don't think. And
No.
the fact is, you can. You know, I'm readily available if you need to ask a question. So be happy to send me your email, and so that I can send you the files.
Yeah, well, I just sent it on Stunt Hangar. Should have my email on it from me. So
Okay, but I can't send an attachment through Stunt Hangars.
right,
Yeah.
but you just copy my email off of it. And
All right, sounds good. Now, what is the other question? I had another one. Well, I'll remember it as we go along.
What's really strange is when people are talking about molding wood. Is when I do like leading edge sheeting on a G tube. I'll use tight bond because I'm a cabinet builder. I love tight bond. So what I'll do is I'll take my 16th balsa and I'll sand it so it matches that leading edge perfect. And I'll zap glue that in spots. And then I'll put tight bond on the ribs and I'll soak that. This is after I've already soaked the wood. And then I'll take a wet sponge and go over the wood again and then I'll lay it down on a tight bond. And then I'll clothespin it down so it's not super tight, but just pinched on the spar.
You know what I like about the white glues and the tight bond and that?
They dry light.
They're water based, and when they gas off, they're gassed off water. They're not. It's not like CA when you put a 1 ounce bottle of CA on your airplane is now 1 ounce heavier.
Actually, it's 9/10, but yeah, it's pretty close.
Yeah.
CA only gases off 10%.
But I mean, white glue works good.
White glue gases off 90.
Say what?
White glue gases off 90%.
Yeah.
CA gases off 10%.
Right.
So whatever glue you put on your airplane, it's gonna weigh 9/10 of every ounce you put on it.
Right.
And with white glue, it's gonna weigh 1/10 for every ounce you put on it.
yeah, it just depends on how long you want to wait for it to dry.
Well, the newer glues like the tight bond nut, these aliphatic ones, they actually will grab real quick. You know, within 10, 15 minutes, they're starting to grab pretty good.
Then try Tight Bond 3. It's almost as fast as Zap.
Yeah. So, you know, it isn't like the old days. Remember the old days we were building a wing using Ambroid? And
Remember Elmer's?
You could only go one so far, and then you had to stop and let that drive so you could.
I love Ambroid.
I love Ambroid too. But it was slow building because you could only go so far. Then you had to let it drive before you could.
Did you ever, John, did you ever try to build a Nobler with Ambroid?
I did, yes.
Only Ambroid? Takes about 8 months.
It took me a month.
It took me about 8 months.
Yeah.
Ambroid, the old hobby epoxy, came in the big tubes. It took like 3 days to cure. Stuff was great.
Well, when I was using Ambroid, I was just a kid and I had no idea what epoxy was.
Well,
So I
then
did
there
the
was,
doublers,
we
I did
used
the motor mounts. I did everything with Ambroid.
we used just the 5 and 15-minute epoxy, and the CA was called Hot Stuff back then. Remember
I
that?
remember hot stuff.
when I was building it, we didn't have the epoxies. Or we had Ambroid, we had DuPont, we had testers, and we had
Testers brown tube.
Patrick glues. That was the glues we had to use.
Was it Testers brown tube for the wood and Testers red tube for the plastic?
Yeah.
Yeah. How'd you glue your canopy on?
Ambroid.
Ambroid.
Ambroid, yeah.
Yep.
And it always had that little step in it where the plastic glued on because nobody was smart enough to hollow it out.
Yeah, well, we were kids then, you know.
Also, was I. I'm talking back then. It was probably maybe late 70s.
Well, I built my 57 green box Nobler in 1958.
I built my first Nobler. Well, my first one was a junior Nobler. So I guess I can't really count that one. I had a Fox angle plug 15 in it. And then I built my first real Nobler.
Did it look like that?
Probably. Is that a junior?
Yep.
That's it? It's got that ugly front end on it.
Yeah.
I hated that thing.
Yeah, it had it's got an open motor front end on it.
And it had a trash can sitting on the hood.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good flying airplane, though.
Very good flying airplane. Amazing flying airplane.
Never flew it. I've never flown it. Somebody gave it to my dad probably 30 years ago.
And you put a decent running 15 in that thing.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a lot of fun to fly.
The controls would bind up on it. So I took it apart there in the back, and the way they had it set up was all screwed up.
We got
like a Van Halen concert.
Yeah, the echo's back again.
Back again.
All right, well, guys, I'm out of here. I'll see y'all next time.
Okay, I'll get that taken off to you tomorrow.
All right, man.
Well, you guys, let me just close this show out here. You guys continue to talk. But hey, everybody, thanks for showing up. Really appreciate it. I think we had, we had more than, right now we have 8 people viewing on the YouTube, but we had more than that. So anyways, thanks everybody for showing up. And I will see you guys later.
Charles, thanks for hosting.
My pleasure.
Yeah, even though you came in at 10 o'clock.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry about that.
I was vacuuming. If I don't vacuum the sawdust off the garage floor, my wife goes out the next day, and then I hear all about it.
You put a line down the center of the garage, that side yours, this side's fine.
Well, I tried that. She said no.
Didn't work, huh?
No, she says, it's all mine. I'll let you use this when I'm not using it.
They got us by the
By the short hairs, you might say?
I was going to say that,
yeah. Hey, Jeff, somebody showed a picture of you in a magazine or something just a little bit earlier. Me? Yes. Who had that? Who had that photo of Jeff?
This is right here.
Calendar this month.
Yeah, that's it. That's the one.
What do you got there?
It's the
calendar.
calendar.
The calendar.
I never got
that. I never got that calendar.
You didn't?
No, yeah, that's me. That's my fleet in the background. There's my There's my ringmaster photobombing the background. And then, of course, you can see my Nobler, which has been torn apart from hanger rash. My Nobler I built when I moved into this house, and it's been hanging on the wall. I flew it one time, and it's been hanging on the wall ever since because I was so busy working on this house, I couldn't get out to fly it.